Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to show you how to create a tiny low poly hut. Press tab to go to the edit mode, G, Z and 1 to place the cube on the ground level, Shift D to duplicate the face, press 3 to switch to the face selection mode, Shift D and Z to move it up, then add an edge loop with Ctrl R and move it up with G and Z. Then add an edge loop with Ctrl R and then remove the other side because we're gonna use a mirror modifier to mirror the hut. Do the same to the bottom part of the building, add an edge loop with Ctrl R and then remove the other side. Ctrl R to add a loop cut in the middle to give it a nice curved shape. Go to the modifiers, add a mirror modifier, Shift A to add a cube model, go to the front view and then move it up with G and Z, go to the side view and then S and X to scale along X, Ctrl R to add an edge loop and move the edge loop with G and Z. Go back to the front view and then move it down a bit so it matches the roofing. L to select linked, then P to separate the roofing from the bottom of the building. Go to the modifiers tab, add a new solidify modifier, change the thickness, tab to switch to the object mode, and then right click and shade smooth, and then go to the object data properties tab and then auto smooth. We can manually mark sharp edges, but it will be easier just to do it by changing the angle. So change the angle to something around 78.5. Select the plank and scale it up. GZ to move down. S to scale up, S and Y to scale on the Y-axis. Switch to face selection mode with 3 and then select top faces and move them down. Then press 1 to switch to vertex selection mode, Alt left click to select edge loop and move the middle part of the roofing a bit down. Press tab to go to object mode, then select the bottom part of the building. With face selection mode, extrude the top face. Add a loop cut in the middle, select the top edge and move it down in the edge selection mode. Alt left click to select the edge loop and Shift D to duplicate, then P to separate selection. Switch to the object mode, select newly created edge loop, go to the modifiers tab and then add a new modifier, add a skin modifier. Ctrl A to apply rotation and scale, select the mesh, and then in the edit mode, Ctrl A to scale it down, G to move it down, Shift D to duplicate it and G to move it to the bottom. Select the top plank, select the face, G and X to move on X, Z and wireframe mode, then in the wireframe mode remove the other half of the plank because we're gonna use a mirror modifier to mirror the plank. So now add a mirror modifier. And now we have to fix the hole that's between the base of the building and the roof. So to do that, switch to the solid mode, then select the top vertex and in the vertex selection mode and move it up a bit. And then Ctrl R to add a loop cut. Switch to the wireframe mode, select the top vertices and then G, Z and move them down a bit on the Z axis. Switch to the object mode, select the wooden planks and then go to the viewport shading. Go to the material properties tab and add a new material. We're gonna call it wood. Choose the color you want and then we're gonna drag and drop this material onto other meshes. Just like that. Now in the object mode, select the plank, the top plank, and then go to the edit mode with tab. Select top faces with the face selection mode, 3 on your keyboard, and then move them down a bit. And switch to the roof mesh, add a loop cut, and remove top faces. In the wireframe mode, select half of the roof and remove faces. Then we're gonna add another axis on the mirror modifier in order to mirror the roof also on the x-axis. Now we're gonna create a chimney. We're gonna place the chimney on the roof. Shift and right mouse button will place the 3D cursor in a 3D space. Shift A and add a cube. And it will be added where your cursor is at. Move the cube with G and X and G and Z. Then scale down and switch to the front view, S to scale and G to move. Press tab to switch to the edit mode and then select the bottom face. Insert the face with I and then extrude so it goes through the roof. And remove the bottom face. S to scale. Then select the top face and in the face selection mode, move it up and then insert and extrude into the inside. S to scale. So that's our base chimney, and then we're gonna add a few more details. We're gonna add some bricks. So Ctrl R and mouse wheel to add new loop cuts. Then select, then Alt left click to select edge loops. If you want to select more than one edge loop, you need to press Alt Shift and then left click. It will select more than one edge loop. S to scale them down. I want to have smaller bricks, so we have to add loop cuts in the middle on all sides of the chimney. And then we're gonna Control B to bevel them, and we're gonna select middle edge loops. And then we're gonna scale them down. Alt S to scale them down. Shrink, fatten. Do the same to the other loop, so Alt left click to select the edge loop and then Alt S to shrink, fatten, so scale them down. Press Z to switch to the wireframe mode, then B to select top vertices, and then go to the solid mode again with Z, and then press P to separate out. I don't like how this top part of the chimney looks, so I'm gonna remove the edge loops. Shift Alt and left click to select all the edge loops. Press delete and dissolve edges. It will remove the edges, but it will keep base faces. Slide some of the edges and vertices with double G to give it a bit more stylized look. Tab to switch to the edit mode, and then switch to the edge selection mode with 2. Alt, Shift and left click on all 4 edges, and then Ctrl B to bevel them, and Ctrl F and shade smooth. And then switch to the object data properties and turn on auto smooth and set 33 degrees. Then Alt left click on the edge, select the edge loop, and then Ctrl B to bevel it. You can change the number of loops with your mouse wheel if you don't like the result I have. Press G twice to slide the edges, but remember to turn on auto merge vertices. Alt left click to select the edge loop, E to extrude, M to merge. Press Tab, go to Edit mode, then select the chimney, and then go back to the Edit mode with Tab. So double G to slide some of the edges and some of the vertices to reduce the details, because it's a bit too noisy at the moment. You can also Ctrl B to bevel some of the vertices in the vertex selection mode 1 on your keyboard. You can also reduce the polygon by sliding some of the vertices and merging them. And then when you're ready, go back to the roof, and we're gonna add a loop cut to give the roof a bit more interesting shape. Select both edges and Ctrl E and mark sharp to sharpen the edges. Switch to viewport shading and then go to materials and create a new material. We're gonna create adobe or concrete material. Choose whatever color you prefer, and then when you're ready, drag and drop the material onto the chimney. Select the top plank, go to edit mode with tab, and then we're gonna add nice looking wood detail in the mesh. So K to select the knife tool and start adding new vertices by left clicking. When you're ready, you can press enter to apply the knife tool. It will add some nice cut in the plank. We need to get rid of the engon, so select the vertex on the left and connect it with the vertex in the middle with J. It will add an edge. Right mouse button, shade smooth, and then in the object data properties, select auto smooth. Type 24, and then we'll need to select some of the edges and mark sharp to add sharpness. Ctrl E and mark sharp to add sharpness to the edges. With the vertex selection mode, Ctrl B on some of the vertices to create this nice bevel with Ctrl Shift B. And press tab to go to object mode, select the roof and move this edge to the middle. Select the top part of the chimney, press tab and go to edit mode. And now with the vertex selection mode, one on your keyboard, press Ctrl B to bevel some of the vertices to add some nice mesh damage to the chimney. Tab to open the object mode, then switch to solid viewport shading. And now we're gonna create some rocks. Shift right click to change the position of the 3 cursor, and then Shift A to add a cylinder. Ctrl A to apply the rotation and scale, and then go to the modifiers, add the remesh modifier. The voxel size shouldn't be too small because we don't need any high density of the mesh, because we're gonna sculpt all the details and then we're gonna decimate everything, so we would lose all the small details in the sculpt anyway. Choose the scrape brush and left mouse click to trim your cylinder. Remember to use 1.5 strength of your scrape brush. And just chip away all of the edges. If you scale your sculpt in the object mode, remember to apply the rotation scale with Ctrl A, because your brushes will be stretched when you go back to the sculpting mode without applying the scaling rotation. Now I'm duplicating the rock sculpts, and then I'm gonna create a few variations. You can create bigger rocks by duplicating smaller rocks, resizing them, and merging them with the remesh modifier, as you can see on the screen right now. With this method you'll create one solid rock that's remeshed, and we're gonna decimate it later. Go back to the sculpting mode and scrape some of the details to make more variation in the rock shape. You don't have to be very precise because we're not gonna use all the small details anyway. Trim away as much as you want. You don't have to copy what I do, so don't worry if your rock is different. If you're happy with your result, add a decimate modifier and choose the ratio you prefer. I will go with 0.002 because I wanted this very simple low poly look. Do the same to the other rocks. And when you have all the rocks ready, we can now move them around and prepare them for the rendering. So G to move, select them all and rotate and move. You don't have to copy what I do, you can place them wherever you want. R to rotate, G to move, and S to scale. Select your rocks, right mouse button and shade smooth. Then go to the Object Data Properties tab and set Auto Smooth and play with the angle to smooth out some of the faces. It will create these nice looking gradients between some of the faces. Now we're gonna create a window and a door. So let's start off with a simple cube. Shift A and add a cube, then move it to the side. Tab to open the edit mode, scale it on the x-axis. Ctrl R to add new loop cuts and slide them to the side. Press S to scale them up and down, depending how many planks you want. I'm creating just 3 planks, but you can create more if you want. Switch to vertex selection mode with 1 on your keyboard, and then select vertices and press Ctrl B to bevel them to add nice wood damage to the mesh. Let's now create a handle to open the window. duplicate one vertex, then extrude it, select the edge, extrude the edge, and then extrude the face to create this little handle. S and Z to scale it on the Z axis. Now go to viewport overlays and check if we have any inverted normals, but we have none. Numpad 7 to go to the top view, open viewport overlays and then tick origins. Because we want to see the origin of the window, we need to move the mesh of the window to the origin point, and we'll treat the origin point as if it was a hinge in the window. Shift A, add a cylinder, open the settings and reduce the vertices amount. Scale it down, G and Z to move it along the Z, and then scale it up, Shift D to duplicate, move it down, and then select two hinges and Ctrl F to shade smooth. And then in the object data properties, and then auto smooth by 40 degrees. Add a new material, drag and drop the previous wood material onto the window. Select all the meshes and Ctrl J to join them. The origin point should be on the left, because we're gonna use it to rotate the window so it opens up like a regular window. Select the edge in the edit mode, scale it up by pressing S. We're gonna create a frame for the window by extruding the edge and extruding the face with E button. We can also bevel some of the edges if you want. Go to the viewport overlays and check if we have any inverted normals. We have inverted normals, so we have to Alt N to recalculate the normals to fix it. If you're done, select the frame with L and separate it out from the main window. Because we're gonna rotate the window, but we don't want to rotate the frame. The frame should stay in one place. E to extrude the frame face, and then scale it down, and E to extrude again to create a fake hole in the window. Switch to the object mode with tab and select both meshes, and you will need to parent the main window to the frame. So when you move the frame, the main window will move with the frame. We will place a window on both sides of the hut. Switch to the top view with numpad 7 and S to scale, G to move your window. We're gonna create a door, so duplicate the window, move it to the front, and go to edit mode, select the top vertices, select the top hinge with L, and move it up. Then select the handle and move it up too. so it's on the right side of the door. And then move it so it's on the ground. And then move it to the wall. Extrude the frame by Alt left clicking and extruding with E. In the edit mode, add a bevel to the base of the building by Ctrl B. It will add this nice bevel on the edges of the building, but if you don't like it, you don't have to bevel it, so it's up to you. S to scale it up, and G to move. To make the door a bit bigger, go to edit mode, select some of the vertices and move them to the right. It will create a wider door. Go back to the object mode with a tab, select your door and move it around with G. Switch to the material viewport shading, go to the materials tab, create a new rock material, and when you're happy with your material you can drag and drop it onto the other rocks. Go to object mode and select the window and add a mirror modifier. Choose the base of the building as a mirror object and then switch to Y-axis on the mirror modifier. And do the same to the frame of the window. So choose the base as a mirror object and Y-axis. Select some of the vertices at the back and move them up with G and Z. Then select top faces in the wireframe mode and go to the materials tab, add wood material and assign wood material to the top faces. This is the HDRI setup I use for my lighting in cycles. You can use this setup if you want. You can download all your HDRIs from Polyhaven. From now on you can watch the time-lapse if you want, but you can skip to the end because I won't be talking about anything important. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day.